In this video, I want to look at a plugin for doing a Buy Now button. It's called Simple Cart and Buy Now. Now, as the name implies, it does have a cart function in it, but it's not a great one, and I'm not going to look at it, just the Buy Now section. So let's go to our plugins here, and we're going to add new. And we type in Simple Cart. There we go. And it should come up right at the beginning. There it is, Simple Cart and Buy Now. So we install now, and we're going to activate it, of course. Now, we need to figure out where it's located. It doesn't have a settings button here, and it's not under settings here, but there, it turns out it's under plugins. So we go there to our settings page. Now, it says shopping cart up here, and I said we weren't going to use a shopping cart, but what this plugin does is use a checkout page. Even if you're just using a Buy Now button, it has a checkout page. So we do need to give it a URL for that. We need a page where we're going to check out. So let's go and create that here. We're going to add a new page. I'm just going to call it checkout. Okay, now the trick is you can put whatever you want on this page, say whatever you want, but you finally have to add this, and you'll notice a little button that's been added to the button bar here. Click on that, and you say, make this my checkout page. Okay, everything else gets grayed out, so that's all you do. This is the short code, but it actually inserts it for you, so just hit insert, and there it is. Okay, so you publish that page. And now when you go back over to here to plugins and the settings, we can put in the URL for that, you see? Now, I forgot to get the URL for it, didn't I? So let's grab that. I can just pull it right out of here. There it is. And we go back over to here to plugins, pardon me, and our settings. And we paste it in there. Okay. Our currency, we need to set that. For me, it's Canadian dollars. There are no other templates, so I'm not sure what that refers to. Maybe there's a way to add templates. You could look into that. Now, down here under PayPal itself, the default says Sandbox, but what it doesn't explain here is you have to have a developer's account with PayPal in order to use a Sandbox. So actually, it's not much use to most of us. So instead, we're going to switch to Live here. And that's the one we want. Now we put in our email. There we go. That's the official PayPal email for your account. There are some optional settings here. These are really for a shopping cart setup, so we don't need those. We don't need an encrypted button with PayPal. And we're not using Google Wallet in this case, but you could if you wanted to. Now, Google Analytics, you've probably already got Google Analytics on your site. Hopefully you do. You can add this in here, and it will supposedly give you extra statistics on Google Analytics. I'm not sure exactly what happens with it. You could test that out. But if you've already got Google Analytics, you'll have information for your checkout pages anyway. So let's hit update. Now, one of the things that'll happen is if you don't have this URL here, in fact, let's take it out for a moment. If I don't put a URL, here's what happens. Update, it will give you an error message. So if you forget to do that, thinking, oh, I'm not using the shopping cart and so on, it will tell you. So remember to put that in. We do our update, and now everything's been saved. All right? So now, how do we put the button onto the pages we want? Well, let's go back to our evaluation page here, our evaluation services. And there's our in-store evaluation. Let's say we want to put in a button there. So that's what we use here, that button that appears on the button bar. I just click that. Now I have to actually fill out some information at this point for it, and we're going to call this in-store evaluation. Price was $50. There's no shipping involved, no weight, no options, and so on. And here we don't want to add to cart, we want to say buy now. And that button text, you'll see in a moment what that button text is about. Now go directly to the checkout page without using the shopping cart if you're just selling one product. So even if you're going to sell 5 or 6 services on your site, each time you would check this off because you want it to go directly to the checkout page. There's the short code that it's going to generate. Again, we don't have to do that because it'll insert it for us itself. And there we go. So we hit update. And let's go back to our live page on the site here. We refresh, and there we go. Now, styling-wise, it does all this styling for you, and you could mess around with this in your CSS and make it look a little nicer if you wanted, put in your own colors and so on. But clearly, it's not going to work very well where I've got it. So let's go back to the page here. And I'm just going to make sure this goes on to another line. Okay, so our short code is on a separate line now, which translates into a separate paragraph in WordPress. And that doesn't help us a whole lot. So it's obviously floating to the right is the way they've made it. So what we do is we'll go back to here. And we take this and we're going to delete it and we're going to put it in front of, let me take off the bolding there. We're going to put it in front of in-store evaluation. Now when I hit update, it should go around to the right. There we go. Doesn't look that great, but again, you could fool around with that in your style sheet and affect it through there. Let's click on the Buy Now button and see what we get. So it's going to take us to this checkout page. Remember, we created that special page. And here it lists the item. We could change the quantity if we wanted, but in this case, we don't want to. And that's part of the problem here is usually with the Buy Now button, we just want to buy it now. And this is kind of giving us a bit of a shopping cart feel to it. This can get a bit confusing here where it says go to checkout. Well, of course, if you click that, it actually just goes right back to the checkout page. So it's kind of a silly thing to have put in there. Also, it says shipping on here. Well, we're not doing shipping, so it would be nice if it actually eliminated that in cases where we're not using shipping. And then it gives us our total there. Now, the other problem is that we're not using Google Wallet, and it still shows the button here. And if you click on it, it just goes to an XML page at Google that people are going to get confused a bit by that. If we click on PayPal, yes, that's working fine. So that's functioning just fine. But this can be a little confusing here with the Google. So that's kind of a minus for this particular plugin. But there you have it. That's an example of using the Simple Cart and Buy Now plugin for WordPress.